right, you guys, we're going to jump right into this with no introduction. There's a lot that I would like to speak with you guys about. Can't wait to hear your feedback. A lot of lies that are being put out there, narratives that I would say are half-truths or just misrepresentations entirely. And I don't really see the reason for that. First and foremost, I'll let you know, last week was not a dream. Charlie Kirk, my friend, is dead. And he was publicly executed. I want to make that clear. Charlie Kirk was publicly executed before the world.
What if I told you that the celebrity who built their empire on charm, power, and perfection just got caught in the middle of a storm that's shaking the entire entertainment world to its core? The kind of scandal that isn't just about fame, but about secrets, betrayal, and the dark price of success? Because right now, social media is exploding, insiders are leaking shocking details, and fans are torn between disbelief and outrage after hidden recordings and private texts surfaced, revealing what really goes on behind those red carpet smiles and million-dollar interviews. And it's not just one rumor, it's an avalanche of accusations that's pulling in other stars, managers, and even producers who thought they could stay silent forever. This isn't a movie script, this is real-life Hollywood chaos unfolding in front of millions, where reputations are being rewritten, friendships are being shattered, and careers that took decades to build are being burned down overnight. The craziest part? Every hour, new footage, new voices, and new betrayals are coming to light, and the deeper you dig, the more it feels like the whole industry is connected by one massive cover-up. Fans are calling it karma, insiders are calling it payback, and the celebrity at the center of it all, once untouchable, is now fighting for their image, their legacy, and maybe even their freedom. So buckle up, because what started as harmless gossip has turned into a full-blown war between power, truth, and survival. And by the time this story ends, Hollywood will never look the same again.
That young man, on the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do." That man, that young man, I forgive him.
It all started with one leak, one mysterious file that appeared online overnight, and within hours, it had already blown up every platform imaginable. People weren't just talking, they were obsessed, dissecting every screenshot, every timestamp, every voice note that seemed to expose a side of this celebrity the world was never supposed to see. At first, most fans didn't believe it. They thought it was fake, another made-up tabloid stunt. But then, insiders began to confirm what everyone feared. This wasn't gossip, this was real evidence. And it pointed straight toward some of the biggest names in the industry. Private conversations revealed manipulation, deals made in silence, and a trail of messages that showed just how far people would go to protect their image. And when journalists started connecting the dots, the story turned darker mentions of cover-ups, secret meetings, and media blackouts that suddenly made sense. You could almost feel the panic behind the scenes, agents deleting posts, PR teams scrambling, and lawyers already drafting statements before sunrise. The celebrity at the center of it all, silent. No response, no denial, just total silence, while the internet went wild, filling in the blanks with theories, conspiracies, and raw outrage. Because when someone this powerful stays quiet in a storm this big, it's not calm, it's calculation, and everyone can sense that something even bigger is about to drop. As the hours passed, silence turned into suspicion, and suspicion turned into chaos. Every outlet wanted the exclusive. Every influencer wanted a piece of the story, and every fan account was suddenly a detective, trying to figure out who leaked what and why. That's when the first insider broke the unspoken Hollywood rule, never go against the machine. They claimed the leak wasn't an accident, it was revenge. A payback move from someone inside the inner circle who had finally had enough of the lies and manipulation. According to this source, the celebrity at the center had built an entire empire on half-truths, PR spin, and silent intimidation, keeping people close only to control the narrative. And now, all of that control was slipping. A former assistant came forward next, hinting that there were more recordings, way more, and that what the public had seen so far was only the surface of something much darker. The story wasn't just about one mistake, it was about a system one that protects image over integrity and fame over truth. Fans began pulling up old interviews, moments that once seemed harmless but now felt like red flags. And suddenly the internet had receipts for everything. Old co-stars unfollowed. Brand deals went quiet. Collaborations vanished overnight. It was like watching an empire collapse in real time, brick by brick, with millions of people live streaming the downfall. And through it all, the celebrity still said nothing, no apology, no statement, just a digital ghost in a scandal that refused to die. Then came the reactions, loud, fast, and brutally unforgiving. Within hours, other celebrities began to distance themselves, some quietly removing photos, others publicly unfollowing, pretending it was nothing. But the internet noticed every move. Screenshots were flying everywhere, fans tracking who still supported them and who had suddenly disappeared. The silence from some stars spoke louder than words, while others couldn't resist dropping cryptic posts and subtle shade that only added more fuel to the fire. One award-winning actor even liked a post calling out hypocrisy in Hollywood, and that single click set off another explosion online. People began realizing this wasn't an isolated incident, it was a pattern, a power game that had gone on for years, and now everyone connected to it was getting exposed one by one. Talk show hosts started debating it, journalists demanded accountability, and even former friends began to speak out, saying they saw this behavior long before the fame reached its peak, but were too afraid to speak up. Suddenly, interviews from years ago resurfaced with comments that now sounded eerily prophetic. The entire industry felt tense, like everyone was holding their breath, waiting to see who would fall next. And as the backlash kept spreading, it became clear this wasn't just a scandal, it was a reckoning, the kind that doesn't just end careers, but changes the entire culture of celebrity itself. After days of silence that felt like years, the celebrity finally broke their silence, and the internet nearly exploded. The post went live without warning, a long, emotional statement filled with carefully chosen words, denial mixed with apology, and just enough mystery to keep people guessing. They claimed the leaks were taken out of context, that private conversations were twisted into something unrecognizable, and that they were being targeted by people who wanted to destroy everything they built. Within minutes, the comment section was chaos, half defending them with blind loyalty, half accusing them of gaslighting the world. Every sentence was analyzed, every emoji, every comma. Fans noticed subtle contradictions, timelines that didn't match, and phrases that sounded way too polished to be spontaneous. Then, just as people began to calm down, a video clip surfaced, one that completely contradicted their statement. It showed behavior, words, and actions that the celebrity's team swore never happened, and it shattered whatever trust was left. News outlets replayed it nonstop, panel discussions erupted, and PR experts called it one of the biggest image collapses in recent memory. Even their closest friends started to go quiet, posting vague "choose kindness" quotes, while reporters camped outside their mansion waiting for a reaction. The celebrity tried to move fast, disabling comments, turning off DMs, deleting old posts, but it was too late. The internet had already decided, and once the crowd turns, there's no undo button. The moment the video hit mainstream outlets, everything started collapsing at lightning speed. Major sponsors that once fought to be associated with the celebrity suddenly went silent, then one by one released statements ending their partnerships, using the same cold, rehearsed language about values and brand integrity. Streaming platforms quietly removed projects, PR teams cut ties, and publicists who once praised them were now unavailable for comment. Within 24 hours, the celebrity went from being everywhere to being completely erased, like the industry itself was pretending they never existed. Behind the scenes, insiders described panic calls to damage control firms, deleted emails, emergency meetings with lawyers, and executives trying to figure out how deep the fallout really went. One leaked recording even captured a brand executive saying they couldn't risk being the next one dragged into this mess, confirming that even billion-dollar companies were terrified. Fans began burning merchandise on TikTok. Edits flooded YouTube showing the rise and fall of their career in dramatic montages, and old collaborators who used to call them a genius were now suddenly hinting they'd seen the red flags all along. Journalists dug deeper and discovered payments, NDAs, and internal memos suggesting this scandal wasn't spontaneous. It was years in the making, buried under fame, power, and silence. Every hour, another sponsor disappeared, another headline dropped, and what once looked like a career built on invincibility now looked like a crumbling empire exposed to the world. And while the celebrities team tried to spin the story as temporary backlash, the truth was obvious. This was the moment everything changed. And the fall was just getting started. Desperation started to replace confidence as the celebrity tried to fight back, launching a full-scale comeback attempt that felt more like damage control than redemption. Within days, their legal team filed lawsuits against tabloids, bloggers, and even former friends, accusing everyone of defamation and false reporting. But instead of sympathy, it only made things worse. Because the lawsuits reopened wounds, forcing even more private details into the public eye. And every time their lawyers tried to silence someone, another voice came forward with new receipts, screenshots, or audio clips that made the situation spiral further out of control. The celebrity booked a tell-all interview, hoping to change the narrative, but the moment they appeared on camera, the audience could see it, the nervous glances, the forced smiles, the perfectly rehearsed tone that felt less like honesty and more like damage management. The interviewer asked hard questions, pressing about the contradictions, the hidden money trails, and the leaked files. And instead of clarity, the celebrity's answers only raised more doubt. The internet was ruthless. Every clip from that interview was turned into memes, remixes, and breakdown videos dissecting every micro-expression, every sigh, every slip of the tongue. Even loyal fans started to feel conflicted, some saying it was all an act, others claiming it was finally the truth. But behind the scenes, insiders said the celebrity circle was shrinking fast. Friends who once worshipped them now refused to pick up the phone. The brand that was once untouchable was now radioactive, and no one wanted to be next to it. The harder they tried to fight back, the deeper they sank, and what was once a PR strategy to survive started looking like the final chapter of a downfall that couldn't be stopped. By this point, the story wasn't just about fame or scandal anymore. It was about a person unraveling under the weight of everything they built. The glamorous life that once looked unstoppable now felt empty, cold, and painfully quiet. Paparazzi photos showed them looking distant, avoiding cameras, no entourage, no stylists, just isolation in designer clothes that suddenly looked out of place. Former friends stopped checking in. Family members who once defended them started using phrases like, "They just need help," and the silence from the inner circle said everything. Late-night hosts turned their downfall into punchlines. News panels analyzed their mental state like a public experiment, and every attempt they made to speak was met with mockery instead of empathy. Rumors spread about breakdowns, rehab visits, secret therapy sessions, and even a possible retreat overseas to escape the chaos. Fans who once idolized them were now split between pity and disgust, some begging for forgiveness, others saying this was the price of arrogance. And in the middle of it all, the celebrity was alone for the first time in years, surrounded not by applause, but by the echo of their own mistakes. The cameras that once loved them now hunted them. The fans that once screamed their name now questioned if they ever really knew them at all. And as days turned into weeks, it became clear this wasn't just a bad headline anymore, it was a reckoning. The fall wasn't just public, it was personal, and for the first time, they couldn't control the story anymore. Weeks turned into months, and the world slowly moved on, but the scars of the scandal never fully healed. The celebrity vanished from the spotlight completely. No interviews, no red carpets, no sudden comebacks, just silence. And in that silence, people started wondering what really happened to them. Some insiders claimed they'd left the country to rebuild their life far from cameras. Others said they were working on a secret project, something that could either redeem them or destroy whatever was left of their legacy. Every so often, a blurry photo would surface walking alone on a beach, sitting quietly at a cafe, no entourage, no makeup, no filter, just a person who had once ruled the world now looking like a stranger to it. And maybe that's the real story. Not the scandal, not the money, not the fame, but what happens when the mask finally cracks and the person underneath has to face the truth. Because behind the headlines, behind the chaos, there's always a human being trying to remember who they were before the fame twisted everything. Some say they've changed, that they've found peace, that the silence was the only way to survive. Others still call it a cover-up, claiming the story isn't over, that more secrets are still buried somewhere waiting to surface. But whether they rise again or disappear forever, one thing is certain: this was the moment the illusion of perfection died. And it reminded everyone watching that even in a world built on filters, fame, and lies, the truth always finds its way out, no matter how many people try to bury it. Weeks turned into months, and the world slowly moved on, but the scars of the scandal never fully healed. The celebrity vanished from the spotlight completely. No interviews, no red carpets, no sudden comebacks, just silence. And in that silence, people started wondering what really happened to them. Some insiders claimed they'd left the country to rebuild their life far from cameras. Others said they were working on a secret project, something that could either redeem them or destroy whatever was left of their legacy. Every so often, a blurry photo would surface walking alone on a beach, sitting quietly at a cafe, no entourage, no makeup, no filter, just a person who had once ruled the world now looking like a stranger to it. And maybe that's the real story. Not the scandal, not the money, not the fame, but what happens when the mask finally cracks and the person underneath has to face the truth. Because behind the headlines, behind the chaos, there's always a human being trying to remember who they were before the fame twisted everything. Some say they've changed, that they've found peace, that the silence was the only way to survive. Others still call it a cover-up, claiming the story isn't over, that more secrets are still buried somewhere waiting to surface. But whether they rise again or disappear forever, one thing is certain: this was the moment the illusion of perfection died. And it reminded everyone watching that even in a world built on filters, fame, and lies, the truth always finds its way out, no matter how many people try to bury it.